And again, thank you to everyone for joining us on this very, very warm, over 30 degrees, sunny Spanish Sunday afternoon. So just really giving you an update, and obviously you guys are subscribed into a whole 2-week long webinar series, which will go into every facet of buying a property here, from what the taxes are, to the procedure, to mortgages, to currency exchange. So hopefully we'll give you a wealth of information that will hold you in good stead and allow you to make a decision moving forward. So just in case you're not familiar with Ideal Homes and who we are as a company, I'll just give you a bit of background knowledge as to who we are and why we were created as a company. The CEO of the company, Chris White, he actually developed the company to really give every sort of service under one roof. So if you need legal advice, or if you wanted rentals, or if you needed currency exchange advice, you only need to go to the one company who can give you all of those, all the information really. So the company's been going for about 10 years now, and we've run a number of awards, and we really do know what we're doing when it comes to finding the right home for our clients. And the way we do that is really by listening to our clients and really trying to understand what you need and what you're looking for. And very much like a doctor listening to ailments, really try and give a good diagnosis and really give you a prescription. Okay, here's a property that fits your requirements for X, Y, and Z reason. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. And if you need more information as to who we are, please feel free to go onto our website, idealhomesinternational.co.uk, and you can read a bit about us on there. So what's Spain been like? It's been obviously a very crazy time over the last few months. When the whole lockdown situation happened, I was actually out with the CEO at the time, and everything just came to a grinding halt. And we were told to basically go home because things were going to be shut off. And if you did not go home, you're going to be stranded because they were blocking off and closing the roads. And it was all just chaos, and nobody knew what was going on. And hopefully now things are starting to settle down, and things are starting to resume back to some form of normality. Now, we are out of the state of alarm. So now Spain is considered to be a safe country to go back to, and people are taking the necessary precautions to ensure that it stays that way. So if you were to visit here today and you came off a plane, you won't have to quarantine. Actually, visiting Spain, you won't have to quarantine once you enter the country. But what you will be asked to do is take the necessary precautions, i.e. face masks, and keep your social distancing rules in mind, and obviously act in a way where you are kind of being thoughtful to others around you. So with regards to the property market, has it been affected by all this? Yes and no. Obviously, things have slowed down tremendously since this has happened, because nobody could visit the country to look at any properties, nobody could do tours, and no one was buying. So for that reason, things came to a halt and everything just was on pause. Now, a lot of people were expecting the prices to come crashing down and things to be very, very cheap, or to get maybe 10, 15, or even 20% off the listed price. That really hasn't happened. A lot of developers were really not in a financial position to give those type of discounts to clients, and vendors also were not in a position to do that. So everything has kind of remained the same. You won't find fantastic deals. You will find obviously opportunities, but not in abundance as what some people thought would happen. So what I would say is, if you still have the thoughts of buying a property over here, really create a checklist as to what you're looking for and try and find it within the realm of what you're looking for, within realistic possibilities. But try not to have this thought of, maybe I can get 10% off this price, or maybe I can get 15% off, because it's really not, over here anyway in Spain, it's really not sort of taking that turn. What I can say is that the Spanish property market is actually picking up speed again. We've had a lot of interest from clients from all over the world, from France to Belgium to Ireland, all over. And what seems to be the common thought is that people are going to be jumping on planes as soon as they know what the quarantine issues are like on return, because obviously Spain have relaxed the restrictions. It's really on the way back in rather than on the way out. So things, I think, are going to snowball from this point onwards, provided that we don't have another shock to the system. So If you are still in the market, obviously you are because you wouldn't have joined us today. So if you are in the market and looking intently, definitely stay in tune for the next couple of weeks and get as much knowledge and information as possible. So for anybody who hasn't been over to the Costa Blanca, I just want to kind of give you an idea as to the areas we cover and what the areas are like, and try and really sort of give you as much geographical information as possible. So just give me 2 moments while I share my screen. Okay, Tia, I think my screen is not sharing. I think it's disabled. Just give me 2 moments while we enable that. But I would imagine most people have probably come over on holiday to the Costa Blanca or even to Murcia. And if you have, you will know that the areas are very, very different, and it's a very big span of land. Each one has its own characteristics. So just give me 2 moments while I try again. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that should be sharing now. So if we just go up, we can actually have a look at the areas in mind. So anyone who's planning on flying in, majority of the time, I would say that the airport they're going to fly into is going to be Alicante Airport. Alicante Airport has very good flight connections. It's just here. You see on my cursor there, just move that out of the way. So it's just here, and it's quite a central point. For most people, they tend to go south, so they're looking at areas like Santa Pola, and the more expat-driven areas are areas south of Torrevieja and La Mata. So areas right the way down to San Pedro del Pinatar. These areas here are very expat-friendly. If I scroll in, you'll see areas like Cabo Roy, you'll see areas like Punta Prima, Playa Flamenca. All of these areas have a big expat community, and if you go slightly further inland like Villa Martin, you will also have a big expat community there as well. With regards to north of the airport, again, you've got very well known Benidorm. Just scroll out here, Benidorm, which is here, going back the way up to Denia, which is here. And that's pretty much where we would consider the Costa Blanca to end. It's right the way from Denia, going all the way down to San Pedro del Pinatar, or Pilar de la Horadada, which is just on the cusp. This is the borderline which separates Alicante to Murcia, which is here. So most people are familiar with one of the two areas, and if you are, you will know that they are very, very different indeed. And although Benidorm has a reputation for being quite a holiday, tourist-driven area, I will say that the old town of Benidorm is quite traditional and is really, really nice. So there is a bit of mix and there is a little bit of something for everyone. Now, Denia is picturesque, really, really nice, very, very green, quite lush, and obviously still put built on a mountainside, so the views are fantastic. The prices there are a little bit more expensive than what you would find in, let's say, for instance, Guatemala or Orihuela Costa as an equivalent. And most people who are looking for a holiday home, say in and around 150,000 euros, 2-bed, 2-bathroom, would probably reside in this location here. All right, so that's taken into consideration Torrevieja, which is here. And this really, really nice area. A lot of people don't like Torrevieja because it's quite built up, but the shoulder areas of Torrevieja are actually really nice. And you've also got some, the salt lakes. You've got a lot of history with museums and walking trails, etc., in the area. So there's lots to do for families as well. So the property prices here are a little bit cheaper than they are north of the airport. And if you go down into this area here, which is classified as Murcia, you will see that you've got Los Alcázares, which is, again, very, very popular. Then you've got La Manga, and this area here is what the Spanish would definitely have as a second holiday home. It's very popular for that reason. Now, what I will be very conscious of for anybody who's wanting a property here is what time of year do you plan to visit the property, because this is very seasonal. In the winter, you will find that there is very few bars, restaurants, shops. Your normal amenities that you would expect on a day-to-day basis will just not be an option. So always bear that in mind if you are sort of looking in the Murcia region. And the reason for that is the area had an airport, and that airport was, well, and it still is, a military airport. That airport is solely now a military airport, and now Murcia has its own international airport. So at the moment, the flight times and the flight availability is not as good as it is in Alicante. And so for that reason, a lot of people can only get summer flights to the area. So in which case, the area turns into a bit of a ghost town. So just bear that in mind for anybody who is looking at this area. But what I will say is that as things improve and as the flights improve and as the demand improves, then that area will grow from strength to strength. And that's a good thing because obviously if you're looking at capital appreciation on your property, sort of going up on a yearly basis, then that will definitely be the case in this area. It has no way near hit its peak. And for a frontline beach property, you can spend 140, 150,000 euros and your frontline beach. So the options there are fantastic. It's just something to be aware of. As you go further down into areas like Mazaron, again, Aguilas, there are pockets of areas which you will be able to get fantastic value for money. We've got a few options in Mazaron which will blow you away for the price equivalent, even if you're equivalating it to the properties in Alicante just as a direct opposite, and you'll find that your money will go just that little bit further. So the two areas that I would definitely recommend for anybody who's wanting just a holiday home by the coast, really easy to access from the airport, taking the national road, the N332, going all the way down, which actually goes right the way down to Murcia. I would definitely recommend areas like La Mata, and as I scroll in, Cabo Roy, Playa Flamenca, and Punta Prima. These areas here are well established, fantastic transport links, and all your amenities that you would expect to have. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea as to the location itself, and also what we can do in terms of maybe prescribing the right type of property for you. I would say that in cost-wise, I would say budget for about, in Alicante as a region, about 150, 160,000 euros. Now that price will obviously fluctuate. There are some fantastic resales which are available as well. But in Murcia, your entry point is about 900,000 euros. We have some fantastic golf course properties which we're promoting at the moment as well. So the accessibility to both locations is great. In terms of the whole COVID situation, I wouldn't say hold out for a price reduction definitely not something that I see on the horizon in the near future. And if you are wanting to do something for relocation purposes, you would have to act now. Obviously with Brexit looming, before the end of the year is the deadline. And obviously we're not sure what's going to happen post-Brexit in terms of people's rights in visiting the country, even for holidays over 90 days or staying here permanently. So if you are wanting more details on that, please feel free to get in contact with us, but these will be subjects that we will cover as the days go on. So the areas that I would say, as I say, that I would look at for maybe as an investment, if it's maybe a rental investment, or let's just say, for instance, you maybe want to use it for 2 weeks in a year, but you want to rent it out so it washes its own face and becomes an asset that's generating an income. I would look at Murcia because the options you have there are fantastic. There's areas like Lopagan, Santiago de la Ribera, which is just by the coast, where you can pick up properties for 160, 170,000 euros. But because they're popular with all nationalities, including Spanish, you will be able to get some fantastic rental yields on a year-round basis. So there's different things for different people. There's the traditional Spanish, like Santa Pola. I'm not sure if any of you guys have been over to this neck of the woods, but Santa Pola is known for its shoemaking factories, for its authenticity in terms of tradition, and also Elche. Elche actually has the Lady of Elche. A little bit of history is actually apparently the Lady of Elche was a descendant of Atlantis. I only found this out the other day and I was very impressed. A descendant from Atlantis, and they found the bust and it's now in the museum, I think in Madrid now. So there's a lot of history and there's a lot of museums and things really if you want to soak up the authenticity of Spain. And if that is something that you will like to sort of develop and look into, then I would kind of go around near the airport, sort of Altea and Santa Pola. These are areas which will give you A lot of culture. And Gran Alicante is a lovely area. And the only way I can sort of describe Gran Alicante, it's like having a busy city centre like London or Birmingham, but by the coast. So you've got all the major businesses in the area, but you're literally a stone's throw away from the beach. So you've got the best of both worlds. So there's a little bit of something for everyone, dependent on if you're relocating, if it's for an investment, if it's for retiring. Hopefully there should be something there that really sort of ticks the boxes for you. So has anybody got any questions regarding the property market in Spain as it stands relating to COVID? Is there anything as of yet that people are thinking of at all? If there is, please feel free to type them in the chat and I'll be more than happy to discuss them. People often ask, has the Costa Blanca kind of seen its day? You know, is it too built up? Is it, you know, are people still going? And I would say absolutely, definitely. The answer is yes, people are still going. It's not, I wouldn't say, there are areas which I would not recommend at all that are far too built up, and really it's just too busy. And to give you an idea, there's areas sort of in and around Torrevieja where the population travels during the summer. The buildings are very, very close together, and some people absolutely love that environment, but for a lot of people, they don't. So they want to visit areas like that, but be able to kind of be a little bit further out from there. So no, I would say that the area has a lot of scope for growth, and there is a lot of there's a lot of promise. But the area which I know is coming up is the region of Murcia, and that's because of the accessibility issues it's struggled with in the past. And having obviously the international airport open now, taking flights from the 1st of July coincidentally, that area is just going to grow from strength to strength. The building laws in Murcia are completely different to Alicante. So in Murcia, they can only build up to 4 stories high, ground first, second and third. And in Alicante, they can build a lot higher than that. So you will find big tall sort of towers, you know, the equivalent of skyscrapers in Alicante as apartment complexes, where you won't find that in Murcia. So Murcia has much more of an open feel, a much more spacious feel, and it's also a little bit cheaper to buy property in Murcia than it is Alicante. So again, it's different strokes for different folks. If you're wanting something that's a little bit more open, you'll find that Murcia is fantastic for retirees because it's a slower pace, it's a little bit more relaxed, it's a slower paced way of life. Whereby in Alicante, it's a bit busier, it's fantastic for people wanting to come on holiday with families because all your amenities are within walking distance. So really, it's just a matter of letting us know what you're looking for. And if you haven't been before, giving us a bit of trust to be able to diagnose the right place for you. So that's pretty much Spain as the area. Hopefully I've given you a little bit more information as to why people go and whereabouts they're going to. As I say, the market here is only starting to pick up again since the whole COVID-19 situation. Hopefully, fingers crossed, things should grow from strength to strength, but definitely stay tuned for the next couple of weeks. We've got some fantastic virtual tours into lots of areas. We're definitely going to be showing you what's hot, what's not, where to go, and obviously the procedure of how to buy a property here in Spain as well. So, do we cover the Rojales area? Yes, we do. Rojales and Benijòfar. We cover the question, Anthony, and those areas are, again, really, really nice. They are aimed for the expat in mind, but being more inland. So you've got everything from bars and restaurants, usually within a 5 to 10 minute walk. But they also set up free events. So I was only, well, before the COVID situation happened, towards the beginning of the year, I was actually in the area where they put on a free minibus. They collected a few residents, myself included, for a different reason, to actually go down to a local museum. And it was a chance for people who didn't speak Spanish to integrate with people who were Spanish. And it was a great way to kind of get the authenticity and the feel of the whole area. So there's lots of things happening, and that's from the central hub of Rojales and Benijòfar. So it's a lovely place to visit if you haven't already been there. So not everybody wants the beach, although a lot of people want to visit the beach, but not everybody wants to be on the beach. And if you can go a little bit further inland, you will get a little bit more value for money. The value of land and the cost of land closer to the coast is more expensive. So for that reason, the developers, they will build up whereby if you can go further inland, they will build out. So you usually find that your property will be slightly more spacious for the same price, but not lacking in quality or amenities. So if you don't need the beach, if you don't need to have sea views, if you don't mind just being even a 25-minute, half an hour drive from the coast, or even a 15-minute drive from the coast, you will find your value for money going right up. So what precautions are in place for appointments with the current circumstances? Every show home I have been in, you have antiseptic hand wash. Everyone is wearing masks. Short of everyone literally, social distancing, short of everyone wearing plastic around themselves, we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're not spreading any germs. Even if we're two people in a car, we're always wearing masks because it's in a confined space. And this is pretty much as you drive around in Spain and you're sort of looking into people's cars as you're driving past, everybody's taking the same precautionary measures. So everybody's doing what they can. And if there is any advice that the ministers will tell us in days to come, then we will take that on board as well. So for playgrounds, for big social spaces, supermarkets, etc., all of these areas, you have to wear masks. A lot of the playgrounds are actually still closed, and everything is getting sanitized on a daily basis. So that's what precautions are being taken, and hopefully with the tolls still going down, we're going in the right direction. All right, fantastic. So has anyone got any further questions regarding Spain at all? If there's anything that's been pressing that they just want to have an answer to, just to help enable them with the search moving forward. Okay. Well, I think if there is no further questions, so I don't jeopardize or give you any spoilers for the days preceding, I will probably finish the seminar. Sorry, it's been so short. It was just really a very sort of quick catch up and an overview of the locations, really to prime you for what's about to come when we can start to show you properties in these locations and go into details on the buying procedure, etc. I didn't want to sort of muddy the waters by jumping around and speaking on different subjects. So we've got the timetable and you've seen what the schedule's like, I'm sure. So if there is any questions that you would like to ask me directly or via email, my email address is showing just beneath my face, I think. So feel free to send me an email and I'll respond in kind. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.